Welcome to Govconversations. I'm Tim Brett, Director of State and Local Research at Deltec. This morning I have Jason Seiko, Principal Analyst of Research, joining me to talk about information technology and the use of cooperative contracts in the state and local market. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you, Tim.
So to start off, can you talk to me a little bit about the use of cooperative contracts within state and local and how vendors are utilizing those contracts and being successful in the marketplace?
Sure. Very important question for stalwarts of the state and local market or for new market entrants to understand exactly how they fit into the cooperative purchasing strategy. I'll mention that cooperative purchasing is not a new purchasing strategy within the state and local, federal, or education market. Been in use for 100 years or more at all those levels to varying degrees. And for most of that time, state and local governments have used that on a very local basis, where states have negotiated contracts for agency use, or neighboring municipalities have joined forces to find administrative and cost savings through cooperative contracts. Recently, though, there's been an acceleration of use of cooperative contracts driven by a couple factors. One has been the proliferation of information technology and communications, really speeding up the pace of everything, but including government operations and government purchasing. This, in combination with the binding factor of IT and communications, has led to a lot more collaboration and sharing between governments than we've ever seen before. And when you combine those factors along with the austerity measures that we've seen from recent recessions, really pushing governments to find any cost savings and administrative savings that they can, really leading to an uptake and use of these cooperative contracts. So what we're observing today is that state governments may have their own state term contracts that they're using in combination with national cooperatives like the Western States Contracting Alliance, and then also using federal contracts when possible, like the GSA Schedule 70 contracts.
And I know you do quite a bit of research and analysis around vendors that are successful in the state and local marketplace. What habits or traits have you seen vendors that have really embraced the use of cooperative contracts, and how have they been successful in utilizing those, winning business, and replicating that? As you know, in the state and local market, we find a lot of vendors that are successful are being able to find business where they can continually replicate it many times over. So can you talk a little bit more about the use and where you've seen those vendors being successful?
Sure. So what we observe is that there's approximately 8,000 IT vendors that are using cooperative contracts of some sort or another to sell to state and local governments to the tune of about $20 billion annually. So a very significant portion of total IT spending from state and local governments is going through these contracts. Now, those 8,000 vendors are of many different shapes, colors, and sizes, and use those contracts in different ways. When we're talking about very large contractors that are doing business nationwide, they're often focusing their business strategy around one or a couple cooperative contracts to supplement perhaps their custom solutions and RFP wins with add-on professional services and maintenance services to follow up on those one-off RFP contracts. That allows those organizations to kind of consolidate their contracting strategy, and instead of having many contracts with many different governments, they can focus per se on the Western States Contracting Alliance as their preferred contract methodology for selling IT hardware. Some of the smaller contractors or the new market entrants have to take a more flexible approach, where they want to bring to the table of a government purchaser as many different contracting vehicles as possible to suit the needs of that unique and individual government contractor. Again, we're talking about 100,000 potential buyers in the government market, in the state and local government and education market space. So being able to understand and fit the needs of each of those is a really strong benefit for IT contractors to be aware and have a palette of contracting vehicles to sell to those clients.
So looking at the future for these vendors and where potentially they might look at future business, what areas of growth do you see coming down in the next couple of years in regards to term contracts and the use of these cooperative contracts in the technology space? Where should they be focusing their attention and really looking for that next big wave of opportunities?
Yeah, wonderful question and important to know, obviously. So There's a couple different drivers really shaping the IT cooperative contracting market. One real positive driver is the return of IT hardware, computing hardware spending to state and local budgets. After our most recent recession, there was essentially a freeze on the replacement of kind of core infrastructure hardware for government enterprises. With the return of revenues and a look at investment again from an IT budget perspective, we're seeing increased use of GSA Schedule 70, statewide term contracts and contracts, national cooperative contracts like WISCA, as a source for new laptops, new tablets, mobile devices, servers, whatever the hardware necessary, really to capitalize on the efficiency finding technology solutions that governments are increasingly looking towards. When we're talking about IT professional services, we see an uptick there in use of term contracts and other cooperatives to obtain short-term labor for IT operations. Increasingly, state and local governments are recognizing that they're not in the business of hiring and keeping and training IT staff within their organizations. They want to be more of a management organization that oversees IT operations. So increasingly, they're calling on the vendor community to provide, again, short-term expertise where they need it to get them through and get requirements delivered. The last and perhaps the most forward-looking area of interest would be around software maintenance. Kind of flat right now from an investment perspective, but increasingly I think software as a service type solutions or cloud solutions are really going to force cooperative contracts to modernize and consider how they can fit the purchasing strategies of cloud solutions to allow governments to leverage those in a very quick and scalable method so that they can capitalize on, instead of buying term licenses or large software solutions, how they can find efficiencies, find new tools, and do that in a flexible, quick method through cooperative purchasing.
Well, it sounds like a really exciting time for the vendor community, especially vendors interested or looking to potentially expand into the state and local market. So definitely something to keep an eye on with utilizing cooperative contracts, and excited to see the future growth for those vendors. So thanks again for taking the time to speak with me today about this important topic.
Yes, sir.